Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from Entitled Parents. Story 1 is by Outside the Walls. You've set off enough of them. Time for Ladondra to have a turn. Every year I host a neighborhood party for the 4th of July. Everyone is welcome, unless they decide to be a jerk. I live in a pretty poor area and I'm the only one with a pool, and I bought the property next door and knocked the house down. So I have a double-sized plot. I'm not saying any of this to brag, just explaining background information. Plenty of room to party. The party went pretty well. People started showing up around 1 p.m. We played in the pool, we chased my dogs around the yard, we ate some barbecue, and we had some beers. The teenagers went off to take a walk, aka smoke some pot, right before sunset, so it was just adults and small children around when I started my fireworks show. Every year, I spend $2,000 to $3,000 on fireworks. I only set them off between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. on the 4th. I'm not one of those folks setting off fireworks for a week before or after the holiday. One rule I have is that I'm the only person who's allowed to light fireworks on my land. If anyone is getting rushed to the ER, missing some fingers, it's not going to be one of my guests, it's going to be me. So I set off my first 3 rounds of mortars, 28 total fireworks, and I'm getting set up for the 4th round, 22 fireworks. A woman who I have never met approaches me. She's apparently my 4th neighbor to the west's sister, but I had no idea who she was at the time. Her: my daughter is really enjoying the show, but she wants to light one instead of just watching. Me: sorry, I don't let anyone light fireworks on my property but me. This isn't exactly safe and I don't want to get sued. Her: oh, sugar, it's okay. She'll be fine. Look how sad she is. At that moment, she points to a smiling girl who is clearly no older than 7. Me: I'm sorry, but even if she were 21, I wouldn't let her do it. There's no way I'm letting a child risk their fingers. Her: you just want to hog all the fun for yourself. You've set enough of them off. Time for Ladondra to have a turn. Stop being selfish. Me: ma'am, you and your daughter have been enjoying my food, my pool, and my yard for the past 8 hours for free, and you're calling me selfish because I care about your child's safety? Her: but she wants to light one. Me: that's not going to happen, and if you continue to push the issue, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Now kindly step back so I can continue the show. We've been arguing this whole time, and people just want to see fireworks, not arguments. Just sit back and enjoy the holiday. At that point, she went over to her daughter, grabbed her by the arm, and went back to her brother's house. I feel bad for the kid. She missed the rest of the show, and she missed the homemade ice cream cake I brought out at the end of the party. Her brother and his kid stayed at the party and had a great time. I hope the little girl was at least able to watch the show from the window or their own yard or something. Every year that the 4th of July happens, there's some new accident that doctors and hospitals are just waiting to see. There's been X-ray images shared of people who shot fireworks using their hands. Like they would hold it and shoot it thinking they'd be perfectly fine. And there's X-ray images of their fingers completely sideways or like a hole blown through the middle of their hand and their hand is like split right down the middle. Of course you're not going to let a child shoot these fireworks off. That's a huge liability. Accidents happen because they're accidents, not because people are doing it on purpose always. Some people act like idiots with fireworks. I know that, there's a streamer we watched this morning who was shooting Roman candles at his buddy. They were like shooting them at each other, which is really dumb because that can burn you bad. And he has this massive blister on his ring finger. When it's that big inflated, that's a 3rd-degree burn. And all because they were messing around. This person's being safe about it. You're not going to let a 7-year-old light 22 fireworks. That's insane. Our next post is by Here, Queer, and Great. How dare this movie theater give a disabled person a fair chance at employment? At one of the movie theaters I frequent, there's a ticket scanner who has some kind of medical condition. Cerebral palsy, I believe, though I'm not 100% sure. He's in a wheelchair and his hands are kinda droopy, if that makes any sense. His job is to basically check your tickets, or if you bought the ticket in line, to scan the barcode. He does have a bit of difficulty doing it, as you can imagine, but he does do a good job at it and scans my barcode and I always say thank you. The last time I went to that particular movie theater, I was in front of a woman with 2 younger children. The guy was trying to scan the barcode, but was kinda struggling to keep his arm in the exact position that he needed it to be. No worries. Me and my cousins were early to the theater, so we had plenty of time to wait. However, the mother was clearly getting frustrated. Eventually, the ticket taker managed to scan the barcode and told the mother where she and the children needed to go. I assumed that she would just be on her way. However, I distinctly heard her say, "They need to stop hiring..." I can't even bring myself to say the word, but you can probably guess what it is. I was absolutely flabbergasted. You hear about this kind of ableism, but to actually see it is a completely different experience. My younger cousin actually whispered to me, "Did she just say what I think she said?" All 4 of us were absolutely horrified, and the fact that she said it loud enough for that poor boy to hear was even worse. It's not his fault. You think he asked to be born this way? However, the saddest thing about the whole situation was that it would honestly not surprise me if it's not the first time he's heard that. Needless to say, I made sure to be extra polite to him. I would have been polite anyway, but I felt he needed extra encouragement about that rude crap. Can we all just agree to treat people with special needs with the respect that they deserve? Absolutely. It's actually wonderful that he has a routine he goes to. Routine keeps people from being more depressed and gives them a sense of purpose, gives them a sense of accomplishment. I'll never forget the story that there was somewhere in the southern United States. I honestly can't remember what state it was, but there's a super rich guy who was hiring disabled people and he was paying them 40 cents an hour instead of minimum wage. For some reason, they get away with that. It just doesn't make sense to me. Because you feel like they can't do the same job as a person who's not disabled, you're just going to pay them a fraction of what they should be earning? It just doesn't seem right. Not at all. Our next story is by Veggie Vengeance. I love that name. I put vegetables in all my food so my roommate's kid won't eat them. The mom is upset. I posted this in another forum, but received a lot of comments telling me to post it here as well. I'm 26 female. I live in a rented house with a single mother who's 30 and her son who's 6. I had another person living with me, but they moved out and the mother moved in. I don't mind living with her and her kid. It's fine and we kind of do our own thing. I spend a lot of time at my boyfriend's place or working. Our work schedules collide, so we don't really interact much, but when we do, it's fine. No issues there. I want to start with saying that she clearly struggles financially, but I don't think it's an excuse. I don't make lots of money either. However, I've noticed that my food would go missing or portions would be taken from it. I assume it was her kid, so I asked if she'd stop him from eating my food. I was calm about it, and she just said she would. It didn't really upset me when it first started. It started getting really annoying when I'd get home from work and expect to have a meal's worth of leftovers in the fridge, only to see it picked through or just gone. I kept bringing it up and she started getting annoyed with me for bringing it up. Just from observing them, I realized that neither of them eat vegetables, and judging by the food that would get picked through and the food that would be untouched, anything with green in it was avoided. Orange chicken would be gone, but chicken and broccoli would be untouched. So I started putting vegetables in everything. I find vegetables to be delicious, and anything green or not a potato does not get eaten. So I could mix some bell peppers into the food and I would be fine. I make a big portion of vegetables pretty frequently anyway, so I started putting it in everything I eat. If I had leftover mashed potatoes, I'd pour green beans in and mix it up. If I had leftover cheesy bacon fries, I'd pour broccoli all over it and mix it in. Usually my homemade stuff has vegetables in it, but I started making sure that everything did. I made a pot of mac and cheese, the kids' favorite thing, and poured in roasted Brussels sprouts, which is actually delicious to me, and I'm eating more vegetables, so it's a win-win. She had been seeming annoyed, but we were all home when I made a pot of mac and cheese. She was in the living room and saw me get out the Brussels sprouts and was like, "What are you going to do with that?" And I poured them in. She said I was being greedy and annoying. I just said, "I like Brussels sprouts," and that was it. She said, "We need food," and I told her to go get some. Or stop buying only prepackaged things and your money will go further. I think she sees this as some big act of revenge, but I simply want to be able to eat my food. Also, want to add that the sharing thing is not the issue. It's expecting to have food there, and it's not. So often I'd be working a long day and get home expecting to have a meal's worth of food, and it'd be all gone. Or I wake up in a rush and had my food ready to eat in the morning only to find it gone. So now I have to skip breakfast. If she would simply text sometimes, hey, is it okay if we eat X food item? I would know and would make other plans. I would stop for food, or I would have to whip up something when I get home. Also, I think eating the last of someone else's food is crazy and rude. If someone makes a big pot of something and you ask for a serving, sure. But if someone made something and there's one serving left and you eat it without permission, then that's evil as heck. Honestly, sounds like one of those mothers who, in one of last month's episodes, there was a kid, he walked into a restaurant and there was a family with a pizza on the table and he grabbed a slice of pizza. And they were like, what the heck? And then his mother comes in and she says to them, it's manners to share. Like, that's insane that some people are like that. It's manners to share, yes, if you offer it to them and they take it. You don't just walk in and take, and that's sharing. No, that's stealing. Today's episode has come to a close. Until we meet again, have an elegant day.